Hey everyone, my name's Ray, and I'm going to be doing a review on the book I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou. This was a part of I read two books in the month of November, and this was the second book I read. And oh my goodness, this book I'm gonna just give it a rating. Uh, uh, from 1 out of 10, I think it's gonna be a 6. Okay, and I've rated a 6 because I think that it was a very powerful book in a learning type of way. Like, I think this is obviously a great book to read in college, or if you are interested in being a writer, because I think it's very inspiring. And then not only just like literary learning, but also historical learning. Like if you want to read about what maybe I think the book takes place, I think it was 1969, but it takes place of her in her childhood. Like it's her describing herself, starting as probably as far back as she can remember as a child to when she becomes an adult, and when she becomes grown, when she when she has her child. And so, yeah, I'm gonna rate it a 6. And I love Maya Angelou. Like, I love her so much, and her poetry is obviously 10 out of 10. Like, but just in comparison to like other books I read, it's just different. And so, yeah, when I tried to read this book years and years ago when I was younger, and I couldn't. And then I actually listened to this book as an audiobook, and so I heard her as an older woman narrating the book, and I loved that so much because it really painted the picture of her life beautifully, and you could hear her voice, speaking these experiences. And so I feel like it just added another layer to the autobiography that really made you feel like you were in her shoes, and really made you feel like, I don't know, just that you know her well, because you can really feel her when she's talking. So anyways, I'm gonna get into it, and I didn't write down any notes for this one, so I'm just kind of gonna go off of what I remember from reading it. But yeah, like I said, I think, man, the metaphors in this book go crazy. They're so beautiful, and I think if you are a writer, or you love poetry, or you love that sort of way of expression, I think you have to read this book, because I think it'll inspire you to write more artistically and poetically, because the way she spoke in this book, it really like allows you to enter her environment and her perspective, and just like really understand the things that she went through, and feel them. Like the way she described how she was feeling really it enables you to just like understand her and her perspective. And I'm a black woman, so I feel like I have a certain perspective already that connects, is similar to her in some ways, because of that similarity. But then I also feel like it explains it in a way to where anyone who reads the book can really understand who she is and how she's feeling and her outlook on life, and how she grows up, how her experiences shaped her in her world, which is why I think that this book is amazing for also learning about the times historically, because I don't know if you want to, like, she is obviously old enough to be my grandmother, my great grandmother. And so I feel like she gives a very beautiful, like, description of the times during that time for her, and where she was. And she talks about living in Missouri and California and
Yeah, it was
Chicago.
actually Stamps,
And
Arkansas
so
girl.
you get
My
like
bad.
her perspective of those places, the people who are around her, and so it's sort of a richness to me, because like those details, because like I don't know, it just gives me a really beautiful perspective on, I guess, people in my family, who lived during that time, and how they were treated and how they grew up. A lot of these things I'm familiar with because they relate to my family. And so I think if you want to understand somebody or somebody's culture, then you gotta look at things from their perspective. And she allows you to do that so brilliantly in this book through her speech and the way that she talks and describes her experiences. And in this book, she talks about her childhood sexual assault and why she stopped speaking for years, and how that experience shaped her as a lover of books and literature, and as a reader, and how she looks at education, because even up to the generation of my dad, depending on where you're from, the education is just not there. Like the formal education. I mean, and I love how she just describes that, in itself, and just how brilliant you are, and you can be without having that formal education, and how you're judged based on what type of formal education you had in that day and age. And I feel like it's very interesting in comparison to today, because now with the internet and how you can take courses and get you know loads and loads and loads of information quickly and online. I think that is just interesting how today you can be successful and be I don't know if the word is acclaimed, or you could have status even without going to college or going to a formal school. And just the perspective on that I found was interesting. But anyway, yeah, I think the book was funny. Her personality shined through, and I think that it's a great book to read. It's a wonderful book to read, especially if you are wanting to learn. And yeah, so I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to say about the book, other than just the fact that I love Maya Angelou, and her poetry is beautiful, and I love how she became so successful and never went to college, but she speaks in colleges, and just her words inspire me, and how she describes her life. But yeah, I think that's all I have to say about this book. It was a great one, and I think that I definitely recommend it to the learner. It might be a little bit boring if you aren't really interested in those things. It can be probably maybe hard to get into if you're not really wanting to travel back in time and have your, I don't know, just be in that place. Then if you're not wanting to do that, then it probably is not the book for you. But I love the book, and I thought it was great. So yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you on my next book review.